Hey, this is Sue Greenwald with Awakened Stories. I'm here today with Deanna Carr with the Mystical Moonlight. Hey, Deanna, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Okay, today's surprise topic is Tartaria and kind of the origins of things as we know them. We're just doing a very surface level. Okay, so
Okay.
I know last time we had talked, you didn't really know what we were talking about, but you did give us really good content. So I've gathered up some questions. So Tartaria was basically a land where they had buildings, civilization, different technology than what we have, but technology, transportation, all of that. They were more civilized and refined than I think we are now. And
Yeah.
they didn't use plastic or whatever when they built things. They used wood, leather, metal, or whatever. So, and stop me if I'm wrong on any of these assumptions, but was the land more tropical then than it is now when Tartaria was like in its heyday?
Yeah, it was more tropical. It was more lively. They had a different way of using materials. They were able to build and grow without destruction. And that is really the difference. Like for us now, no matter what, we feel like we have to destroy to build. And if you look at a lot of cultures from the past, they were able to build and survive working around the elements. So it was a lot more lively, different types of vegetation just because they were growing. It was thriving. So it wasn't just people that were thriving, it was also the plant and animal life.
It looked to me, like I've been fascinated by this the past few years, and it looks to me like they have a more synergistic way of living on the earth. They use natural
Mhm.
energy, they weren't as destructive. It looked
Mhm.
like the cities were huge but clean and gorgeous, like compared to our cities now. We don't even want to go into our cities now, right? So
No, I refuse to go into cities.
yeah, it's such a different thing, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. So around what I'm getting is that civilization was thriving. Like I said, they used natural energy, if I'm not mistaken, like the way they had their buildings with the spires on them and the domes and everything. So they knew how to use natural energy.
Mhm.
So there wasn't like this destruction, like you say, this mining and using the resources the way we are now.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there a best guess? I mean, you can't just give us a date on this. Is there a best guess of when the civilization transformed? Was it because of the mud flood that that civilization declined?
It was towards the mud flood. It was a little bit beforehand.
Okay.
Um, what I'm getting is there were people that were kind of planted in the situation into the city and were there to kind of make it fall. They were not successful. So the backup plan was the mud flood.
Oh, okay.
They were trying to get it to destroy itself from within,
Okay.
but they had a very cohesive ecosystem within the area. It wasn't going to fall. And that's when they brought in the mud flood to just wipe it out.
Horrible. Okay. So Tartaria it took up a big geographic region on the earth. And of course, we know our maps are not correct and all of that. So it was a really thriving, very large civilization. Did most of the people live in the cities then, or were there like, how we have like farmers that live out in the country and all that? Did they have that as well? Or did
They did have that, but even with like far like I mean, no matter where you look, there's going to be different types of living. It's not always going to be city oriented.
yeah.
So there are still like the suburbs and farms and all that stuff. Um, they still had higher technology, so they didn't rely on the technology that we have, like those big industrial things, I don't know what you call them. They didn't have those big sprayers. Like everything was handled differently. The technology was more advanced. And to us, it's very futuristic, but to them, it was very normal.
Yeah. And they also had air travel, if I'm not mistaken. Like they used dirigibles, but there was also like what we would call small UFO craft or whatever all over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
They didn't, and that's the other thing is they were about, working with what they've had and then working around what was natural. So the best way to not destroy is to go above. And so they had ways to fly, and people are probably like, well, what about the birds? The birds were fine. They had ways to make sure that the birds were able to maneuver. Like I said, their technology was a lot more advanced than what most of us can comprehend.
yeah. Okay. Were the Tartarians breatharians, and that means that they basically use oxygen and sunlight to feed their bodies. They don't need as much food as say we do.
They do use breath work in it, and they also did have a small diet, mostly plant oriented.
Mhm.
Most plants were able to give them all the nutrition that they needed to survive. So, meat eaters was not a thing.
Right.
And really nobody had the idea that they wanted to be a meat eater because they didn't need it. The plants not only were more nutrition and value, but they're also higher protein within it. So everything people are like, well, you can't get from a plant, they definitely got from plants. And there's, you know, from our stage, we've, recreated like thousands and thousands of plants to be more, sustainable, but they were using the original traditional plants, and they were more nutritional in value.
Right, right. Yeah, because our soil has been depleted. Everything's been done purposefully on our end.
Mhm.
We're not getting our minerals, our vitamins, whatever. We're not outside like we're supposed to be. Do you know what I mean? Like nothing is as nutritious as it's supposed to be. So we're sick a lot. We get these diseases and then we have to use the medical system.
It's
Yeah.
all about the money.
It is all about the money. So would you say the when the Tartarian empire was taken down, like the mud flood came, that probably ended up in like what we would call 1776, right? Like so the way I think it was done is like they would target one city area at a time and then go to the other cities and make sure that they were decimated before they moved on to another area. Would you agree that that was the technique that they used, or did they?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah, they would go to one place to the next.
yeah,
One, because they could focus their energy on that one spot. And two, like I said, they try to destroy it from within first, and then they go to the next stage.
right. Okay. When we say they, would we say the bad guys in this case would be the reptilians?
Yeah.
Okay. And
It was for this case, it is kind of a mix. It's not just specifically reptilians,
okay.
but they're one of them, yes.
Okay. And who else were they all what we'd call extraterrestrials, or did they have their human minions?
Most of them were extraterrestrial. There was a few that were humans, but they were more like, let's say, like the Roths. Like, how they're high up in power, have a lot
Yeah.
of moolah,
Yeah.
and they just nobody really knows about what's behind the scene.
Okay. Yeah. Now, did these Tartarians, all right, I'm circling around, okay? Did they have
Mhm.
communication like, how we have cell phones? It's been presented to me that we don't really need technology for cell phones to work, meaning like we think we have to have a tower and we have to have this and we have to have that. Did they have communication that was non-mechanical, I guess we'll say, where they could
Yeah, I mean, Like I said, technology is a lot different.
Yeah.
We are not as advanced as we could be. Now I know we don't have all the stuff out into the open, but they were more advanced. Um, did they have telepathic communication? They did, but it was within range. So it wasn't like you could just call somebody. They did have what you'd call a cell phone, but it wasn't a phone per se. It was more like I'm saying like more of like an orb, and they didn't have to hold it. It would just float next to them and they could communicate, let's say. Um,
Ooh,
and it was like a personal assistant. So it did more than just phone calls. It did more than booking a point. Like it was more than what we think it was utilized for. Um, so they were a lot more advanced than we give them credit for.
I want an orb. Yeah, you don't have to carry it.
You don't have to carry it. It's basically a personal assistant.
Right.
That I don't know how else it like floats next to you. I'm trying to find a good reference idea for it, but it's an orb that floats with you,
Okay,
and
cool.
it can communicate to other orbs, to other people. Um, it was pretty much a all-in-one assistant, but they had a relationship. It wasn't like what we have with our phone, like I just use my phone. It was a bond. So it's different technology and emotional draw to it. Like for us, if we don't have our phone, what are we? With this, I want to talk with my orb. I want to be with it, if that makes sense.
Wow. That's interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah. So of course we don't have that technology. We'll say when we say we, I mean the people, we don't have that. Okay. All right. So basically what they would do then is when they decided to do the mud flood, is they'd hit city upon city and it would happen quickly. They would flood the city with, depending on the geography, so many
Yeah.
feet of mud, water, and all that. People and animals were stuck. People that were maybe on the top floors of buildings might have lived, but they were also monitored because if any of them talked about what happened, they would be thrown in basically insane asylums. They wanted
Yeah.
to reprogram the people. All right. So did they use technology to like mind wipe the people or reprogram them, or did they just bring in a new population?
They mind wiped them. They didn't bring a new population.
Okay. Wow. Yeah,
Mhm.
because there are people that remember, and they said it happened very suddenly, and people were gone in a flash, and they were like the survivors weren't really able to freely talk about what happened, and if they did, they would disappear and either be killed or thrown in asylums or whatever. You would agree with that statement?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. So they basically wanted to reform the earth, the civilization very quickly. Why did they let some people live though?
Well, it depends. If they didn't really find them as a threat, some are easier to control than others.
Yeah,
You've got to think when somebody loses a whole civilization, they're not going to be as strong as they were before.
right.
Whereas before they were, working as one, they had supports, they had each other. And then you go into everything's demolished and diminished. That instills fear instantly
Yeah.
because if they got all that, they're easily going to get you. So it's easy to, if they got out, we'll just watch them. If they talk, we off them.
Wow.
Easy.
Wow. Okay. All right. These are random but related questions, okay? So,
Okay.
so I wanted to set the like because this is going to open up so many questions. Like people are finding out about this. So basically, we're taught that, our country, the US, was formed in 1776 after the Patriots got together and said, "We want to be free." And I think what happened is the Tartarian civilization the last city was taken down roughly around that time. So
Yeah.
it started before that, but that's when they formed a new civilization. And it seems like the previous civilization, they lived in peace and harmony. They were like they didn't destroy the earth. It was like it sounds pretty awesome to me. And
Yeah.
I think maybe we're going back to that again too, but I think we're gonna have a lot of questions from this one. So for those that are watching, give us your questions. Okay, here's my random question. Bolt Castle, which is built up in the Thousand Islands, the top part of New York State between New York and Canada. It was said to be constructed in the early 1900s by the owner of the Waldorf Hotel, and it was really never finished, supposedly. Is that a true story, that what we're told about that castle? Or is it much?
No.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was a much older structure than that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Much older structure, and it looks like it was a forced stop to work on it.
What do you think that is? Like, because,
Um, there was something about what it was going to bring, and it wasn't just made for people staying in it. And they wanted to force stop it because it was for good, it wasn't for bad. But they didn't like that the outcome it was supposed to have.
oh, okay.
So they force stopped it, meaning they off the guy.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
Well, and if you're ever up in the area, those that are watching, that it is quite impressive. It's a beautiful island, well thought out, and what they've been doing is slowly rehabbing the castle to restore it to what it could look like, kind of,
Is that the
right?
one we went to?
Yeah, we've been there several times.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's big.
Yeah. And so that it's much older. So the reason I'm asking that question, well, first of all, it popped in the head a while ago, but a lot of our cities still have these really mega old, mega fancy buildings. Like one I'm thinking of is like St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City. It's this really big, old, giant, fancy church. And I
Yeah.
think that's older than, our civilization. And many of the cities have these large, fancy buildings, if you will. And of course, we're seeing the buildings where the bottom floors are under street level. Like we
Yeah.
might see a window popping up, and we're told that that's the basement level. Even as a kid, I thought that was weird. Like, why would you you know what I mean? I never understood that. Okay. So
Yeah.
every city pretty much has these buildings. So they're being taken down and or used, but we're told a different story about them.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So last random question that's related. The Sahara Desert. Okay. So if we look on old maps, that was just a beautiful tropical forest way back when. And then all of a sudden, within the past 400 or 500 years, it's a desert. Was that also like, we'll say, blasted at that time?
Yeah, it was blasted with sand instead, because they didn't have like as much dirt over there,
Oh.
so mud didn't work with the geological location. So they blasted it with sand. It was a mixture of water and sand at first. And then by them kind of utilizing it, it restructured the location. Um, that's also why, I mean, you can look into history and you see, what are they? The giant heads on the islands.
Easter Island heads, yeah, yeah.
Yes, those are massive. I mean, has anybody else ever thought like, why would they just make a big head? Why would
Yeah.
they just make a big head? And how did it stand for all that time? And then they realized how big they were. You think that was like a logical thought beforehand? But yeah,
Yeah, they're telling, so I think they're digging them out.
They're
like,
digging them out and they're a lot more massive, but that also shows that that was another location that was blasted.
okay. Okay. So what about Egypt then?
Well, Egypt was blasted. The pyramids are a lot larger than we're told.
Of course, of
And
course.
then if you look, there are imageries coming out of how the pyramids look, and they're not actually just a pyramid, they're actually a tall tower.
Yeah. Yeah, with like a really I don't know what the word for that is, obelisk or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So I think with the Sahara Desert, that area used to be like giant lakes, like a really
It was, I think, jungle.
yeah,
It had a lot of life. And by them destroying that, water, they took away the plants, the life. It took a lot away.
yeah,
Um, and it's not thriving anymore because they can't get the water there. It's now there is water still there, but it's underneath miles of sands,
they put
and it just piles up. So even going back and trying to find the sands, there are ways to do it. They're coming up with ways to bring life back there, which is amazing. It's just, not as easy as,
yeah.
trying to dig through the sands.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they put a massive amount of sand there. Like,
Yeah.
if you see the video, but I was just thinking there's this movie with Matthew McConaughey. I think it's called Sahara,
Yep.
where they're in the middle of the desert and they find an abandoned ship out in the middle of the desert in a cave or something, right?
Yeah, because it used to be where the river flow. It's funny, we just watched that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it's funny because I watched the first like 5 seconds. I'm like, oh, we're watching Sahara. But yeah, they would take the boat down and it got stuck in the desert because the water just disappeared. Now, the thing about that is it brings up a good question about, if you're on a boat and you're going through, the water dissipating that fast where you get stranded and stuck is very odd.
Yeah.
It's kind of like somebody pulled out a plug and let it drain.
Yeah. Yeah, because there was a lot of, like, if you look at the old maps, it was a really big lake or body of water. So, yeah. Okay. Well, very, very interesting stuff. This is just the tippy tip of the iceberg because there's a lot of questions. So, people that are watching this, send me your questions. We'll work on this again because this is a big deal. Okay.
Yes.
This has been hidden, all these years, 250 years. But look at our whole civilization has changed radically because of these events. Our
Yeah.
history, everything we do is different, and it's more destructive and more dark than it needs to be. So,
Yeah.
okay. Anything else we should know about this point in time or how people lived? Like, I don't know I mean, there's so many questions about how they lived. We see the photos that the women are always in long dresses, and I'm like, oof, like it's hard to do stuff in a long dress all the time. But yeah, they
It
live.
is. But I mean, just because you see them in a long dress doesn't mean that's actually what they wore. It's
Uh-huh.
kind of like you see a magazine. Not everybody wears that fashion. It's only part people. Um, so I mean, fashion changes for everywhere, but you know, the civilization, like it's completely different than what you can imagine. There are some pieces of like, you have thriving life, but it is completely different. Like there's no stress, no worry because everything's taken care of. Um, the advancement in health and technology is more advanced also. So, um, it's not like we can normally imagine. So I would just say imagine the perfect world, and that's probably as close as you can get to what it would be like.
Wow. Wow. That sounds awesome. Okay,
Hmm.
well, thank you so much for your time, Deanna. We'll address this again very
Yep.
soon. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.